So I love the veggies for the neighborhood. That kind of says what it is. And then you have all the different churches. You only have the 3 churches?
No, there's 4 churches. Beacon of Light, Bethany Lutheran, Community of Joy, and the Restoration Project is a church.
Okay, okay.
And then we did this in partnership with Green SBY.
That's very cool, very cool.
It
and
is.
I see you have a website?
We do, growcamden.com, and a Facebook page, and we announce our work days on Facebook page. We're primarily growing these vegetables for the neighborhood. We have people from other neighborhoods that come in and get vegetables. We really would prefer it to be just the neighbors, but we don't police that.
Well, because it is a neighborhood thing.
It is.
So sometimes the neighborhood's small, sometimes it's large.
Right.
Oh, hi guys. I'm Ginny Rosencrantz with the University of Maryland Extension, and with me is Martin Hutchison, and he's from the Community of Joy Church, and he has gotten the community together to make this amazing garden, because it's not just you, although you're the one that kind of says, okay, let's go ahead and try this. But you pull the neighborhood in, not only the churches, but the neighborhoods. So the other thing that he's done differently from the last couple of years is that he's got a whole bunch of flowers, native flowers, that are pulling in the pollinators. So should we say join us in the garden?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Okay, right here on
Pack 14.
These tomatoes are so lush. I love the green foliage and all that. They're so pretty.
They really are. And they're growing really tall.
Yeah.
And they'll keep growing as tall as we'll let them get. Eventually we're going to start trimming them like hedges. Yes. And then they'll produce more flowers and more tomatoes down where they're in a reachable level.
It's so hard to trim them off when you see like these beautiful little yellow flowers. You know that that's going to be the luscious fruit.
It's going to be a tomato.
But you know, every time you prune something, you're asking it to grow somewhere.
That's right.
So that's really good, because that way you'll have fresh new growth. Fresh new growth gives you more flowers.
That's
so
right.
every time you prune it, you'll have more flowers.
The same is true in our lives too.
That's true.
It's a principle. See, not only do you have the flowers, but there's the little tomatoes coming.
Oh wow, yes, look at that. That is so cool. I just absolutely love watching a garden go. I was just looking down here at the very bottom where this has had a chance to grow a little bit, and you've already got some colors showing on the tomatoes. So these are like the sun golds?
I'm not sure what variety these are. I thought this, it may be I planted a new one this year that's a red grape.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it was called.
So that might actually mature.
I think that is this. I think it'll turn red.
Good.
The sun golds are down a little farther, and they are definitely starting to mature.
Nice.
We've been eating them.
Nice. I noticed you've got the signs in English and in Spanish.
We do.
As well as a beautiful graphic. So tomatoes, how would you pronounce tomato in Spanish?
Tomato.
Tomato?
I don't know.
Okay. And there's the picture for those who go, okay, what is it? Oh, this is just so cool. I love the wall of tomatoes.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes.
I love heirloom tomatoes. Oh my goodness.
These are indigo cherries. You can see the purple color on them.
Indigo cherries. Wow.
Here's one that's starting to ripen, and they're probably my favorite tomato out here next to the sun golds.
They are so beautiful. You've got these right here, those are, and then you've got the little ones up here and some more little ones. They're just so beautiful.
And you notice that even the real small ones have a little bit of purple coloration to them.
Yes, look at that. That is so good. Wow. I tell you, the different varieties are fun to grow, especially the heirlooms, because there's so much history behind them. It could be, they came over from different parts of Europe or different parts of South America, depending on where somebody had them.
Right.
Where did the
I don't have a clue.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be fun to have the kids look into it. Wouldn't that be awesome?
There's lots to learn.
Yes, yes.
And I just know the varieties I like to grow, and people suggest what we'd like to have, and so that's what I plant.
You were mentioning that even the stem parts are a little bit purple.
You can see some purple on them, yep.
So if you look really carefully, right there's a little bit of purple right there. And then down here, again, the purple. Isn't that cool?
These are the easiest to tell what they are when they're at the transplant stage, when you're planting them out, because they always have a little bit of purple coloration to them.
Lovely.
Yep.
Oh, let's go check out some more yummy tomatoes. The neat thing about the cherry tomatoes is that the plant only has to grow small tomatoes.
That's correct.
Lots of them. But when you get into the big guys like this, they have to grow lots, not as many, but they have to grow the larger
Right.
tomato. And quite often, you'll get issues. Now, I'm not sure, okay, I haven't taken a look at it. I'm not sure if this is a disease or if this is just a nutrition problem.
Right. I'm not sure either.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll take a sample and get it to the University of Maryland. I'm Extension, so I have people who know about plant diseases
Great.
and also nutritional diseases or
Awesome.
nutritional symptoms. And sometimes with plants, they'll go ahead and say, well, this is an old leaf. It's done all the work it has to do. It's done.
Sure.
And a lot of the nutrients in it are very mobile. Some of them are not, but some of them are mobile. And they just kind of desert this one and just move on up
Sure.
to the top where the new leaves need all this nutrition.
Sure.
So when you take a look at the new leaves and they're always beautiful and you go, wow, why are the new leaves so pretty and these old leaves are so, ugh. And sometimes it's because of the nutritional thing.
Right. Right.
But like I said, I'll go ahead and take a sample, and if I can't figure it out myself, I'll talk to the plant pathologist.
Awesome.
If they're not there, I'll go ahead and send it to College Park
Great.
at the University of Maryland because they will take a look at it.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Be fun to know what it is.
Sure. Now you mentioned that the green zebras are often also having an issue.
They are this year.
Okay. You know, the problem with a lot of these heirlooms is they absolutely have no resistance to diseases, whereas some of the more highly developed hybrids
Sure.
are resistant to fusarium wilt, verticillium wilt, and nematodes. But there's other diseases that are out there, so let's take a look.
Right. I'm sure
So-
they have something.
Okay, so, all right, here we go. I'm not 100% sure, but that looks a little bit like early blight.
Okay.
And that usually affects the bottom of the foliage, and then it kind of moves up to the top. Thing to do, of course, is to prune out what's dead. Again, we'll take samples,
Okay.
and we'll see what we've got. But I do see that you definitely have some wilting in this,
Right.
and that's not what you want. You want
No.
so that could be something on the inside. So that could be a fusarium or verticillium, which basically clogs up the inside of the plumbing system of the plant. It's kind of like how cholesterol plugs our plumbing
Sure.
system, you know,
Sure.
our veins and all that kind of stuff. So if it's that way, well, we'll see. If it does have either verticillium or fusarium, it will take out the whole plant. If
Yeah.
it's just early blight, we could probably prune it up and see what it
Okay.
is. So again, I'll go ahead and figure out what it is.
Great.
And
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me that it has only hit so far, fingers crossed, the green zebras. It hasn't hit any other variety.
these might be just a little bit more sensitive.
susceptible, yeah.
Yes, more susceptible, more sensitive to it. Okay, well let's hope that
do you
they
know
do
if
okay.
that spreads? Early
Oh,
blight?
it
Does
can. Of
spread?
course it can,
Okay.
because that is a fungal spore as
Right.
opposed to a bacteria. And fungal spores, the spores are always in the air.
Sure.
So when you're talking about a disease, it's kind of like a triangle where you have one side of the triangle is the plant. And as long as you have the plant and you have the fungal spores, that's the second part of the
Sure.
triangles. You know, it's not going to be a problem until the environment is absolutely perfect.
Right.
And you know, the cool, damp season that we had in the springtime was really perfect for it. But now we've got all this heat, so maybe
Right.
that'll help dry it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our hope. So I'll go ahead and take care of
Okay.
that, and I'll get back to you
Great.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good. Oh, look at you have 2 whole beds of strawberries.
We do. They've
These-
been requested for a number of years, and last year I caved and we had them.
Very
the
good.
kids love them.
Look at this.
Yep,
You have a tomato.
we do.
Now, this wasn't a tomato bed before.
It wasn't a tomato bed before. It has the tomato growing there because the kids like to pick the small tomatoes and throw them occasionally, and I suspect a tomato landed here, and then the seeds. I've noticed them in several of the beds.
Right.
Several spots in these beds.
But this is a children-friendly garden.
It is.
And you're encouraging the kids to come in,
We are.
and they help plant sometimes?
They do.
Uh-huh.
We encourage them when we're not here to come in with a parent,
Uh-huh.
and otherwise to leave things alone. But we want them to like this garden. We intentionally planted it next to a playground so that the kids would be attracted to it, so we could teach a new generation of kids where food comes from and what good food is.
That's important because
Yes.
there's nothing better in the world than picking a fresh tomato like you
That's
just
right.
did.
And I've been dying to eat this tomato. I just acquired a taste for them 3 years ago when I turned 50. And I am going to eat this. And you know, here in our garden, we don't use any pesticides, and
Right.
everything that we use is organic. And so you can eat the vegetables right off the vine.
Well, go ahead. How's it taste?
Delicious. I'd offer it to you, but I'm going to eat it all.
What about ladies first? It's okay, it's his
I'll go
garden.
get you another one.
We'll find another one. This is a wonderful. Now I noticed with these strawberries that they look fabulous. There is a little bit of leaf spot disease, but that's normal this time of year.
Yep.
And this is the bane of every vegetable grower. This is
It
wiregrass, and we talked about the next time you go ahead and redo these beds, you're going to go ahead and put down basically a type of tarp.
I don't know that we're going to do that because we're not going to lift the soil up. We already put landscape fabric under. We put landscape fabric under the
walkway?
The walkways, and the wiregrass is just taken over. It finds its way.
It's an Eastern Shore native.
It is.
Okay.
I've seen it come up through blacktop.
Yes, it does.
Brand new blacktop.
Yes, it does. So, well, it's just one of those things is you have to stay on top of it.
We fight it constantly.
Right.
And we'll continue.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your collards. They look pretty interesting. So collards is kind of like, to me, an Eastern Shore thing, but I know a lot of people love collards.
They really do.
And what are your main insect problems with the collards?
Harlequin beetles are bad, and the cabbage leafworm is also bad.
Right.
But right now we're having an infestation of a few harlequin beetles. In fact, we've seen one.
Yes. Well, you know, one thing you should never plant here then is the cleome or spider flower, because they attract them too.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, they're very attracted to the kale and the collards.
So with the collards, I noticed that you cut the bottom leaves first. So basically, like you're pruning it up.
That's correct. You always want to break the leaf off or cut the leaf off at the stem or close to the stem, and never want to take a knife and cut the center growing point in the collards or the kale. If you do that, it's done. But if you keep breaking the leaf off at the stalk, it'll continue to put new leaves out, as it's doing right in here. See all these new leaves that are coming? And they'll just keep coming and coming and coming, and you can harvest this all summer long.
That's awesome. So this is Russian kale?
It's called red Russian kale, yes.
I love the purple color. It is absolutely gorgeous.
It is.
Okay.
I love how the purple goes through the veining of the leaves and in the stem. And, you know, it's just beautiful.
It really is. Now, is this more nutrition or
kale is highly nutritious. Anyhow, we plant this because I was told when we started the garden that it's a gourmet favorite. Ooh. And it's more preferable than the curly kale. I don't know if that's true or not, but I have both kinds growing in my garden, and they taste about the same.
This is neat, though, how the leaf has like little teeny leaflets popping out around the edges.
And
Isn't
also
that cool?
how the stem does that.
So
all
decorative.
the way up the stem, it does, you know, little rough spots, which I break off and eat. You know, they're edible.
You eat them without cooking them?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Kale, I eat kale salad all the time, raw.
Right.
If you ever go to
that's not bad. It's sweet.
the Cheesecake Factory, they have an awesome kale salad.
That is actually not bad at all.
It's not bad at all.
I think when you have a small, tiny leaf, it's not as concentrated.
Sure.
You mentioned radishes and carrots. Let's go take a look at those.
Awesome.
I love the fact that you put the radishes and the carrots together. You mentioned that you heard about this in a gardening book?
Yes, that's an old trick I learned from a book. I don't know who the author is anymore, but it's called The Joy of Gardening. And he did wide row gardening, specialized in it. I put the carrot seeds and the radish seeds in a spice shaker.
Okay.
And mix them up, and then I just shake them out over the bed, and they plant together. The radishes germinate first and fast.
Yes.
Carrots take a while to germinate. The radishes provide shade and shade out weed growth, give the carrots a chance to establish, and then when you pull the radishes, it gives space for the carrots to be, so that they're not right on top of each other.
Well, these radishes are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that.
They are.
They're just so pretty, so
and they're
pretty.
extremely spicy.
Oh, wow. So do the
I
kids
come
like
out
that?
here. Well, I come out here and I find ones that the kids have eaten, and they've eaten one bite out of it, and they throw it down. In fact, here's one I found that the kids had pulled, obviously, because it was wilted.
Yeah.
But anytime you see the root in the shape of a J, you can tell that someone has picked it and they stuck it back in the ground to see if it would grow. But once you pull it, it doesn't grow again.
It's pretty much toast.
So these can be for lunch on a salad.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah. That'll be great. And so you just let the carrots have a little bit more time.
They do.
Now, I had heard that you can actually eat the leaves of carrot tops when they're tender.
I've never tried that.
Yep.
Maybe you can. Maybe it's good. Beet tops are good.
Now I noticed also that you have a green post in here.
We do.
And what is this?
It's a new system that we've employed this year to try to get people to understand when things are ready to harvest. We have a sign at the end of the garden that corresponds with the sign that's in English and Spanish.
Sure.
But sometimes people don't know. And so the red, green, we have stakes that are red in beds that aren't ready to harvest and green in beds that are ready. And
That's wonderful.
It seems to have worked pretty well, except for, again, the kids think they're a nice sword. And we've come in here from time to time and find them all pulled out and where they have been using them as swords.
So you need to teach them that once you're done with the sword fight, put them back where they belong.
Well, I'd prefer they just drop them and we pick them up because then they'll get put in the right bed. But,
Correct.
you know, it's an ongoing opportunity to teach.
Right? That's true. But the other thing is they're getting a lot of exercise out here. You'd prefer them not to use these?
We would prefer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and see if we can find a bed that has a red flag.
Okay. The cucumber's right next door do.
All right, let's check them out. Oh, I see what you're saying. This is a red steak.
It is, because the cucumbers are not quite ready.
That's true. They're
just starting to bloom.
Yeah.
And actually, there's some baby cucumbers coming, forming in here.
I can see that.
I know.
They're hard to see because they're so teeny tiny. But that's going to be a cucumber.
It is.
That's so neat. I think cucumbers are pretty cool. I mean, when you look at the tendrils right here, you think, oh, well, it's just, you know, just a landlubber and all that kind of stuff. But these guys like to climb.
They like to climb, and they would if we had something for them
See here,
to climb.
this is a twirly one right here. And, oh, I think I can move this leaf right here. You can see one that's really trying to curl. Look at that. It says, I want to twine up something.
It does.
And when the cucumbers do have a tendency to be up on a trellis, and the cucumbers are basically growing straight down, they're actually growing straighter.
They do
which
grow
is
straighter,
cool.
and it is cool. We could try to grow vertically here. We are doing it with the cucamelons. That's a smaller structure. I was afraid to try it here with a trellis for them to grow up because I didn't want the kids to climb. This would take a bigger structure, and it would look like something you could put your foot in and climb up, and I just didn't want the kids to do that.
Right. Well, and I noticed that they've got some flowers. I see a flower on this side, and I'll just see if there's any flowers on that side. Bright yellow flowers. You know, when you're looking at a garden, it's always a treasure hunt.
It is.
Now, you have...
treasure of good and bad. I found a cucumber beetle.
Okay.
And actually, I've seen several of them flying. This one is pink spotted.
So there's two different type of cucumber beetles, the spotted one, and there's also the striped cucumber beetles.
I've seen them both here just this morning.
And, you know, I think that your way of controlling them by hand picking them off is labor intensive.
It is.
But on the other hand, you've decided you're not going to use any pesticides because you don't want the children to be touching something that has a pesticide on. We
do have a couple organic pesticide type things that we use that will control cucumbers, beetles, and so I may spray once it gets bad before
Here's one where there's the flower's still on, and there's the cucumber on it.
Right.
Isn't that awesome?
They're beautiful.
They are so pretty. And I do see a full flower. Let's see if you can go ahead and see it. In there, see the bright yellow flower? Isn't that neat? They're so pretty. I love treasure hunt. The other thing I love about this garden is that you have the soaker hoses, so the water is going exactly where it needs to be for the plants. Now you rotate also, you mentioned that.
We do rotate our crops because it's not good to grow the same crop in the same bed every year.
Right, right. So this year the tomatoes are on that side, and last year they were on that side?
They were on that side.
Okay.
Yep.
So then next year they might be right here?
They will.
Okay,
They'll be
good.
in this 4-bed system.
Ah, very good, very good. And what's also good about that is even though you're adding compost every year, it's not just the diseases that could be in the soil. Sometimes it's just the amount of nutrition that's in the soil.
Each kind of vegetable takes a different kind of nutrition.
Exactly. So by rotating it like this, actually by having something like this here, if you had beans here and followed the tomatoes after beans, you'd have even more nitrogen, which would be better for them.
Maybe and we do grow beans.
Oh, good. All right. Let's take a look at the cucamelons. They're cool.
Yes.
Oh, I love cucamelons. They're just So lush.
They're fun. They're fun to grow. And this is just one plant. There's 2 plants on this side.
Wow.
And look at it. It just
Wow.
grows and grows and grows.
Leaves are so great. I love the flowers. Look at
Yeah,
those
look
flowers.
at the little flowers.
Aren't they beautiful? Little dainty. Oh, so pretty.
And they have a little cucamelon on the back of them.
Yeah. Oh, this one actually.
does.
You're right. This one does.
Yep.
Let me see if I can kind of pull it together. See right there at the back end. There's a little teeny. So you've harvested a couple, right?
I have, and here's what they look like. These are a little small, but usually they get a little bigger than that.
They're
But
so
these
cool.
can be eaten now.
Uh-huh.
And I call them cucamelons because it looks like a watermelon, but it is a cucumber.
It's a little miniature cucumber.
And it has a lemony taste. Would you like to eat
Oh,
one?
I would. Thank you. Whew.
They're crunchy. They're good on salad.
Oh, this
They're
is
good
good.
as a snack. I see kids come in here after school and just pick a handful and pop them in their mouth as they're
Very
walking
cool.
down the sidewalk to home.
So it looks like on the inside, just like a little cucumber. Very, very juicy.
And they will reseed
Really?
themselves wherever they grew. So next year we will have lots of cucamelon plants growing here in this bed that we didn't plant. But I won't plant them here. We'll move them to a different
Right.
location. We grow them on trellises here because they like to climb and because
Right.
it's easier to find them.
Otherwise, it's a
It
solid
just
mat.
takes over.
You'd have to have kids tunneling under, which would be detrimental to the roots.
But the nice thing about cucamelons is when we grew them flat, the kids would pull up and really make a mess of them, and they're very hardy. They come right back.
Oh, wow.
As long as they have water, they'll continue to bounce back. They continue to grow. They're very hardy. They don't have many bugs. There's no bugs that really bother them.
That's
Cucumber
nice.
beetles don't bother them yet.
Oh.
I haven't seen that.
Love these.
Yeah.
Yes, that's really
Which
good.
is amazing to me that a cucumber beetle doesn't really bother it.
Wow. And again, the idea of pruning, every time you prune, something will grow. The same thing with the roots. You were root pruning them.
Right.
And as long as, like you said, as long as you gave them water, they were able to come back just as strong. Wow, they are so cool. And you say that now that they're becoming popular, other places are actually growing
They
them
are.
too.
I'm seeing them grown here locally by some pretty large-scale vegetable farmers.
Excellent.
And they're doing a rope trellis system between stakes, is the way
Oh.
I saw it out in the field.
Kind of like the way they do tomatoes.
Yes, very same way.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Quite neat.
Wow. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some beautiful, I think that's squash down there, isn't it?
It is.
Let's go see the squash. Wow, these leaves of the squash is so lush. Oh
They
my
are.
goodness. I love, love, love the flowers. Oh my gosh, you've got little bees in there. You've
Yes.
got pollinators.
We do.
Awesome.
I'm glad to see that. I thought we weren't having a lot of pollinators this year because I saw yesterday that the fruit was about an inch or two long and it was starting to turn yellow already and die. And so I looked that up in one of my organic vegetable growing books and it suggested that the cause of that could be lack of pollinators.
You know, and that is a real strong possibility because again, the cold temperatures,
Sure.
you know, we had a lot of rain
We
last
did.
week and
did.
that kind of makes a lot of pollination just not happen because the European honeybee that does a lot of the pollination,
Right.
it's kind of like a union worker.
Okay.
It doesn't work in the rain. It doesn't work in the cold. It waits until 10 o'clock and
Okay.
it's done at 3. But that's good for
Sure.
people who have to do actual pesticide sprays because they can go ahead and time it after.
Sure.
So, okay, so on the squash, I love this. You can go ahead and see
Yes.
that the female flower is got a little bit of a fruit on it. That is
does.
just so cool. That is just so
And
cool.
that's how you can tell the difference between the female and
right?
male.
And here's the male flower, which is it's done its job and it's all
It is.
shriveled up and it's like, okay, it's toast. Now, what I love about this is you've got this really pretty green foliage, but when you get into the zucchinis, the leaves are
Yeah, the
actually
variegation.
so colorful.
Yes.
I would grow this as a tropical.
Yeah.
The heck with the fruit. But then the fruit is really good.
And the problem with squash is they're very susceptible to squash bugs.
Yes, yes.
And that's a constant battle.
Yes, and squash bugs aren't even pretty. They're just kind of
They're
like a
not.
plain brown bug. And like all bugs, they're voracious. But you know, when you think about it, it's like an annual plant. An annual plant has one season to
Right.
grow. So it puts its little roots in the ground, grows like crazy, throws out leaves, throws out flowers, throws out fruit.
Yep.
And the bugs are the same way. They have one season, so they're going to have as many babies as they can.
They do. They do.
They're
I'm constantly
survivalists.
looking under the leaves for egg masses.
Now that's a good thought because that's
That's where
exactly
they
how you
put
find them.
Yep.
Right.
And they're usually in the shape of a triangle.
You have a little teeny aphid there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, that's a little plant hopper. There it goes. Yeah, it's one of those things. the other way, when you're looking for them, quite often it's hard to find them because even though they're very small, they're also the same color as the foliage, making it even more difficult. But then again, it's a different type of treasure hunt.
It is.
Like, let's go treasure hunting for this, now let's go look for bugs. Are you working with the kids on that?
We are.
Very cool. Very cool.
They lose interest in it fast.
Right, especially if you don't see an awful lot.
And then the other challenge is they get in and climb in the beds if they see one, and then they start damaging the plant. So it's a tough journey.
But look at all these beautiful flowers.
Yes.
I mean, this one right here, you can tell it's a female flower because the zucchini's already in.
Right.
Beautiful. And this one's already closed up, so that was probably the male flower because there's nothing going on there. Wow.
And people like to eat the flowers. They stuff them with various ingredients and cook them and eat them. I've seen lots of friends post.
Well, they're delicious. Have you ever tried them?
I've never tried one. I might have to.
Okay, well, we should play that game. Let's try a flower. There's a lot of edible flowers, but I understand that they are really very good. You can eat them raw, or you can actually steam them or even fry them.
I see the people I see do it, fry it.
Yes.
They stuff it with something like a stuffed pepper and then fry it and eat it. Looks quite tasty.
Interesting. Well, I noticed that you actually have, because this is a vegetable garden, you have a whole bed on herbs.
We do.
So since that's the pollinator thing, I want to take a look at it. Okay,
sure.
good. Let's take a look at that. You know what I love about herb gardens is that they're so perfect for pollinators.
They are.
Sometimes the foliage is perfect for all the caterpillars, but look at this dill flower. I mean, that looks like fireworks, and it's perfect for pollinators, absolutely perfect. And what they can do is they can go ahead and land on one of these little umbels, and it's like a smorgasbord of good food.
It is.
I notice you don't have any caterpillars yet.
Not yet.
You will, you will.
They'll come.
So this is oregano.
This is oregano.
Healthy.
It wintered over.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes it does. It does. And some more dill.
More dill.
Oh, I see you've got a little bit of basil going here.
We do. Some sweet basil, some lemon
lovely.
basil, and some Thai basil.
Oh, all the different ones. They're so good in salads, aren't they?
They are.
And again, especially when they're in bloom, this is just beginning to bloom, they're going to have, again, wonderful flowers for all the pollinators.
Right.
Now, I bet this is where somebody threw something.
Nope, this is what came up from last year. This
my
is
goodness.
dill that self-seeded and came up, and I've left it because we like dill.
Right, and again, that'll be great for a lot of the caterpillars that just desperately need it.
Swallowtail.
Yes.
Yep.
And here's the mint. Oh,
Here's
I
the
love
mint.
Now
The mint keeps taking over more and more and more of the bed. We keep pulling it back.
Oh. Now the flower of the mint is really pretty.
It is.
I love the color, but all the flowers are right there, very, very easy for the pollinators to kind of rest their wings and just get all the nectar that they want to right there in one easy stop.
One landing.
Yep, one landing. Buffet.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, can you tell me a little bit more about your mission about this garden?
Well, we started it 4 years ago to bless the neighborhood. 4 churches worked together to do it. The city's partnered with us, and we felt like if we could grow vegetables and engage the neighbors in that process, we could do something positive for this community. And so that's what we've been working at for 4 years now.
And you've seen every year more
every
and
year
more?
It's been better and better. The partnerships that we form, the engagement of neighbors, the engagement of bored children, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Well, I love the fact that you had it really close to a playground,
That's
but you
intentional.
also, and exactly, and you also have like a miniature library that the kids
We
can
do.
go ahead, even the ones that don't know how to read, the bigger ones can read to them.
They like the library.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's just been wonderful.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you guys for joining us for Delmarva Garden right here on Pack 14.